I'd like to welcome everyone to the Road to Rich podcast. This is actually episode 1, and I'm very excited to bring this to you. The podcast is really going to be talking about business, entrepreneurship, marketing, and all those things that we get into when we start a business and get running a business that nobody tells you about, man. And there's a billion things, right? So we wanted to create a podcast for folks that are starting businesses, that are running businesses, for advice. Yeah, there's a million things we'll be able to go through in this, but today's our first episode, and I am super pumped to have Kevin Elliott here with me today. Kevin, there's so much we could talk about today, and with your background, man, I don't know if any of y'all know Kevin. Kevin's gotten into a million different things in his life, and it's super interesting your path, man. Yeah. Kevin runs Wewa Films. He's an award-winning producer. He's the founder of Redfish Film Festival. And, that thing's taken on some incredible legs too. So we'll get into talking about all that. But, man, I think with your background and the things that you've done in your career, one of the things I want to talk to you about today was just the fear of starting those things, right? And that's one thing when I started my business that really the fear held me back for 10 years, right? And so did you experience something similar to that when you started those efforts? Do you still feel that fear today with those things?
Well, first of all, thank you for the invite to be on this show. And I'm feeling the fear right now because I didn't know this was your first episode.
Yeah.
Ever? I'm the first episode?
I got the fishing thing, but this is the first one.
The first episode of...
Yeah, man. Do it in style, man.
I'm honored to be the first one. Yeah. I'm touched. I had no idea.
I wouldn't have it any other way, man. So...
Well, listen, that's cool. So now, so talking about fears, I got to do a good job. I thought I was going to be like one of 30 episodes that people see and whatever, but but thank you. Truly, we've been friends a long time. Yep. And I remember when you started Aaron Rich Marketing. I remember because you had your day job, and I remember when you moved over and you were in that little office over there on Jinx Avenue for a long time and all that stuff. So we've been friends a long time. It's funny, and when entrepreneurs talk with each other, I find that what most people misunderstand, I think they misunderstand us, and I think this is true, is that we have this gene that makes us not afraid of things. It lets us go take risks and do stuff and not be afraid, and that's how we do it. Mm-hmm. But we all know when entrepreneurs sit around and talk to each other, we're like, this might be it, man. This might sink me. This might be the worst idea I ever had. I'm not sure. I mean, we're like an incredibly fearful bunch, but that we also have the gene that makes us want to do these things or won't let us not do these things. Yeah. More than we're afraid.
Yeah, that desire overcomes.
Yeah.
That
so if
fear.
you're starting or you think you're an entrepreneur and you feel afraid and you're like, oh, well, entrepreneurs aren't afraid. Mm-hmm. Could not be more untrue. We are. We have a compulsion to get it out of us and make these things we see in our head, and so that outweighs the fear. But no, the fear is always there.
I think for me it was hard the first time, right? Like that was the hardest thing, was thinking about starting my first business and going from that place where I was at, where I was worried about health insurance. I was worried about if I was going to make enough money. Can I take care of my family? And taking that first step. And when I did that, I don't think I ever looked back, right? And each subsequent step and each time that I've started something else, I feel like it's gotten progressively easier to do that. Do you feel kind of the same way?
Yeah. So parts of it have gotten easier. And I'm not even sure you know this about me, but because you and I met, it was like Wewa Films days when, really started to get to know each other. Mm-hmm. But 10 years before that, I owned a property maintenance and like home renovation and property maintenance business. Before that, I owned a child care center. So like I've owned a bunch of different kinds of businesses.
Yeah. I didn't know about the child care center.
Yeah, most people don't. I was very young. But when you're talking about it gets easier, parts of it definitely get easier. Because you just learn, like when I bought that daycare, I didn't know anything about business except that I wanted to be in business, and I liked this daycare. I had been working there a long time. I didn't know anything, so I was not afraid. I was what they call an unconscious incompetent. I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't have fear. I was like, I've been here 5 years. I can do this. And then you realize very quickly, running a business is so much different than working in a business. Yeah. that it sunk me after about 5 years. But then when I did my next business, which I did for 10 years, it was started as a handyman business, and then it turned into a pretty decent reno business and property maintenance. But out of that, I like marketing and sales got easier because I just like I know how to do this.
You have an understanding of that base of the business mind.
That's it.
Well.
Every business you get, you add on to your base a little bit. So like I learned I know I could sell, and then I built the business around that. I knew I could keep clients happy. I knew I could communicate at meetings. Okay, whatever. Then I learned how to make videos, and then when we started Wewa Films, I brought all that with me, and then we just had to learn how to deliver films. So yes, it gets progressively easier. The trick is, at least with me, maybe this is just me, is that the businesses I end up in are so different from one another.
Yeah.
That there's always this new chunk of stuff I have to learn.
Yeah.
Even though I can bring all my previous skills. So it's a little bit of both.
And you seem like someone who does a great job of knowing the things that you do well and finding people to support those things around you that complement you, right? And you know, I tell people all the time that, you know, I think when I started my business back in 2013, that I feel like I was good at doing all of it, right?
Yep.
And I wasn't great, right? And the difference is as time's gone on, I've hired people that are individually just incredible at what they do. And the result is I don't do any of that stuff anymore, right? And we're way better off for it. And the beauty of that is the client gets served better. We're producing things that are awesome level stuff. And it's because of the team that you surround yourself with. But I think it's knowing yourself to some degree.
I tell you what, I'm really glad you said that, because that is so true. To use an analogy from video production, so my company, my film company, is a good entrepreneur is like a good producer, and most people don't even really know what a producer does in film. But what a good entrepreneur does is sets a vision, like knows where we want to take this thing and what we want to make in the world, and then the very next thing you should do is start looking for your team, because being a good entrepreneur is not being a good maker. Like in my film company, I don't make films. I don't know how the camera works. I don't know how I have a partner who does all that stuff, and we have post-production people. So like when Redfish came along, when the film festival came along, I intentionally went out looking for partners because I knew I couldn't do it by myself, and I knew they knew. So I found a partner, Lex Benedict, who partners with me on this. And then, like you met Brittany, our PR and comms director.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
I had one meeting with her, and I guess the gift of an entrepreneur is you have those eyeballs where you can see somebody and go, like, you're special. You're special and you're smart, and I know where to put that. I have a hole that your brain fits in, and then put that there and put this here, and then you can just give them what they need. That's the next job.
Yes.
So entrepreneurs see the vision, build a team, and feed your people.
Give them the tools they need to execute that.
And then stand back and watch the thing go.
Yeah.
And that's
awesome.
That's the joy. Yeah, that's it. But there's a great book I recommend to everybody called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, like the baby food, Gerber. And he describes in that book there are 3 jobs in every business, 3 roles: entrepreneur, manager, and technician. And the key is to find which one of those you are, and then find the other 2 to fill the gaps and partner with. And so if you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But you not only should you not do everything, you can't possibly if you wanted to.
Yeah. And
you wouldn't be good.
You reach a point with growth where you have to learn to have other people handle those responsibilities. And that's been a tough thing for me to learn over time.
Talk about scary.
You know,
right?
Starting off where it was just me and then learning that I had to give up pieces and give up pieces and give up pieces. I've gone from being the guy who's doing all the work to the guy who's managing the business and people to now I'm more of in an ownership role. And that transition has been just not what I would expect to have gone through, but it's a pretty cool thing that now the business runs independent of me pretty much, right? Which is kind of cool. Now I can do stuff like this, right? So it's great. And it's just going through that mindset of changing your role over time has been something as a business person that I've really had to learn and adapt.
I tell you what, man, I admire that because that is maybe not should be the goal. Some people want to work in the trenches of their business every day. They just like it. They love their business. But if you want to do other things, so I have a question for you because how did that go? Did you intentionally know you were headed that way and find people to fill the gaps that you do? Or is it just like one day you looked up and went, this machine's running itself?
So it was definitely an evolution, and I've at different points said to my team like, hey, I know I'm the problem, right? Like I'm holding us back from getting to this next level, and it's because I'm not delegating, I'm not giving the responsibilities to you guys to be able to handle this stuff. I've been able to look at myself and recognize where I'm a problem, right? And if I'm a bottleneck in that process, then we need to change things so I'm not a bottleneck. That's the only way we can grow, right? And we've been lucky that we've grown 20-ish% every year.
Wow.
Since the inception, and we keep growing at that rate. And I think that getting out of the way has been a great thing for us. Like I make no mistakes about it, man. I do almost nothing hands-on in the business anymore.
Well, I'll tell you what,
and we're great for that.
That is super self-aware, and I'm glad you said that too, because when people ask me, so they look at stuff that I've achieved, right, or that I whatever, and it's not just me. You'll hear every entrepreneur who has accomplished anything say this. They would be like, "I actually don't do as much as you think I do." Mm-hmm. Like our mutual friend Alan says this all the time. He's like, "Guys, please, I get so much credit for things I don't do." But you understand that, right?
Yeah,
like I know with the film fest, we grew this film fest, and I'm like, most of the ideas, we had so many great things that happened last year, just in our first year. And I try my best to articulate to people that most of the ideas that people liked the best were not mine, and they weren't Lex's. They were people came to us. Yeah. We set a vision for what we wanted to do. Yeah. And we gave them a signature color, which I'm so glad we did. We were just like, can you make something awesome that is red? And so people came to us, creative people came to us, and were like, I have an idea. Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do that? And all we had to do was say yes. And be like, what do you need? Yep. So that's a perfect example but I think a lot of business owners, I was this way for a very long time, is that if I didn't have my hands on it and my fingernails in it, like grabbing it, I thought it was going to get screwed up. Yeah. And then when I met Courtney, my business partner at Wewa Films, and I finally met somebody who was so far and away better than I was at what she does. Yeah. It never, I couldn't have tried to take it over or it wouldn't have worked. It was so obvious she was a genius at this. Yeah. And it made me let loose. And then it just took off.
Yeah. That part of delegation is the key to it, man. You got to find the right people that you trust to handle those things. And then you keep those people, man. You do what it takes to keep them, man.
Do whatever it takes to keep them. Yeah. So in my film company, Courtney, my business partner, is a 50% partner in the company, and she owns half of everything. So I did that on purpose. I didn't want her to work for me because I didn't want her to leave. Yeah. Because I'm like, I could see where she was going, and I'm like, somebody's going to come along one day and offer you a lot of money to be a genius for them. Yeah. And so I want paperwork that says we're together. You do what you have to when you find amazing people. That's what I mean by the feed part. So you set a vision, you build a team, and you feed them. Yeah. What do you need? Do you need money? Do you need time? Yep. Do you need me to say nice things about you? Do you need a Christmas card? I don't care. You love on those people so they never leave you. And one of the best phrases I ever heard about turnover and people leaving is something to the effect of don't give your people an incentive to not leave. Give them a reason to stay. Yeah. If it's awesome over where you are, nobody can offer them anything. They're going to want to stay with you. Yeah. And that's the job of the entrepreneur. Yeah, for sure. Build something like that.
That's a pretty cool way of thinking about it, man. Yeah. So you had mentioned
because they're honoring you. That's the thing is that they're honoring you. We have an idea, and we build a team and we do these things. But when these people start to come and give you chunks of their life to help you build something that's in your brain, you can't help but be humbled by that.
Yeah, and you know what was in my mind about my business when I started versus what it is now. What's interesting is that it has gone places that is really my staff's vision too. Right. It's not just my vision anymore; it's their vision. And Chuck Purdue, Chuck talked to me a couple months back, and we were talking about just people with ideas. And I thought Chuck did something that was really cool where he's at. And he said if somebody comes to him with an idea, he says, okay, well, what are you going to do to get that implemented? And he puts that on them so that now they have ownership in implementing that improvement into the business, the process, whatever it is. And, I've kind of started doing the same thing with my team to where, if somebody comes to me with the idea, okay, all right, great. That sounds awesome. How can we get it implemented? What are you going to do to get it implemented? And so everybody is a stakeholder, right? And so we've gotten to that point with it. And I think that when you have people put their heart into what they're doing every day that way, I think that really helps make them feel like they are invested in the success of everything that you do, right?
Well, here's the thing. So I completely agree with every bit of that. Giving people the freedom or communicating to them. So you're talking about building a culture in your business, and that's a slippery term. It's hard to understand exactly what that means, but that's a good example of it. Is giving your people the safety and freedom to come to you with an idea, but then also building in a responsibility that if you bring an idea, we expect you to help us. You own it. So what that will do is it will filter out frivolous ideas because they know if they say something out loud, it's their job now. And so now the ideas are going to be more quality because if they say it, they care about it.
Yeah,
if they care about it, they'll do it. Right. And so I'm here to back you up. Tell me what you need. That has happened a lot with the film fest, as you can imagine. We do this big film festival and it had all these cool arts events and all this neat stuff. And then people come to us a lot all the time with, oh my gosh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And so we gently go, listen, if you want to run with that, like if you want to build that, we'll give you the space and we'll do it, but let us know when, like what you need for you to run that and do exactly what you said. And then sometimes they're like, all right, let me do it. And, cool. and then it ends up being great. But then sometimes it does signal to them that we want all the ideas because it goes back to being a good entrepreneur is that if you are under the illusion that all the great ideas live in your head, you're crazy.
Yeah, man.
So many brilliant people. So many brilliant people. And if you can turn them loose and give them permission to feel safe, to share this, they'll say like, I've had this crazy idea for a long time and you don't have to like it or like, tell me your idea. Tell me what's on your mind. Because we can't do that. Maybe we can do a version of it. Let's play. You know, it's that's when it gets really, really fun. That's when you start to see really special businesses. Yeah.
Things take directions you can't even conceive of when you do stuff like that. And that's the beauty of it.
And that's the fun. Because then you're like, I never would have thought of that. Let's totally do that. Yeah.
No, and man, you mentioned Alan a little bit ago. Yeah. And, Alan's one of those guys who've kind of taken some of those visionary steps too. And he's got a team around him that's awesome. But I've talked to Alan about this on different occasions, just, and even somebody on his level, man, and I hold him the highest regards, imposter syndrome, man. And, he feels like sometimes when he does things that's how he feels. And, I felt the same way. And I don't know if you have as well, but just people trying new things and getting into it, man. I think we all feel novice when we get into those things. And then as you get successes, you get more comfortable with it. But I feel like that's something that entrepreneurs that are just starting out shouldn't be afraid of, man, because you can't get there if you don't have a starting point.
Well, let me tell you, this is a great point. And what I advise all young entrepreneurial people now, and a mistake that I made, is it goes back to the fear thing. I think people think entrepreneurs don't experience imposter syndrome, don't experience that fear, don't experience all the fears that they have in themselves. And so they think, oh, they're different than I am, so I can't do that. Mm-hmm. First of all, completely untrue. We have all the same emotions that everybody has and all the same insecurities and fears and all that. We have all of that. But we do most of what we do, at least early on, really just afraid. We're just like, we're going to try this and see. We have enough of a risk tolerance that we can stand that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I think will help, and I wish I had done so much sooner, is I didn't find my first entrepreneurial friends, like other business owners, till I was in my 40s.
Really? Wow.
Huge mistake. Huge. Yeah. Because conversations like this are what keep you going. So if you're in your 20s and you're like, I don't know what to do, I'm scared, find another entrepreneur. They'll talk you through it.
And
it's generous.
This kind of stuff wasn't around when I
It
started
wasn't
my
around,
business.
right.
I'll be honest with you. I had a couple people that I was around that were entrepreneurs, and I picked up a little bit from there. But one of the guys that was actually my next door neighbor, Kyle Schutz,
I know Kyle.
runs System Service.
Yeah.
Wonderful guy, man. Him and I started our businesses about the same time. We lived next door to each other. We used to sit on the sidewalk after work at nights, and we would just sit there and talk about what's going on in business. And his business is totally different than mine. But the stuff we went through and the path that we were on together, I got that somebody understood me, man. And sometimes it was, I'm not spending enough time with my family. How do you do work-life balance and all that? And being able to have someone like Kyle to run that stuff by, and having someone that gets where you've been and what you're going through is invaluable to somebody that's starting a business, man.
It's so serious to me now because I probably lost 15 years of like career experience. I could be so much farther ahead if I'd have just found some entrepreneurial friends, and that's on me. But one thing too, when I talk to young entrepreneurs who they'll kind of like sheepishly come up to me and ask me to, can I take you to coffee? And they're like worried I'll say no. I'm like, of course. Man, and they're like, oh, but you're so busy. You're so busy. I'm like, I know I'm busy, but look, the entrepreneurial group of entrepreneurs are some of the most generous people on earth, especially with other entrepreneurs, especially young ones, because when they come up to us, we remember, man, it brings, I don't know about you, it brings it all back. I remember being 25, 26, scared, and we just want to hold them and be like, you can do this. And it's so encouraging. So if you're out there and you're like, that older entrepreneur, I sure admire that person, but I don't know. Go talk to them.
I think if you've gone that path, man, you see those guys that are getting started and getting going. Like it's an honor to talk to those guys and to help them do it.
It's exciting.
Do you remember John Robbins?
I do.
Did you ever meet him? Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was nothing, man, like I was a student at FSU, I met Miss Gale from being at Florida State Panama City, and John was a guy who I really felt like John believed in me before I believed in me. Okay. And he would always come up to me and feel like, man, like you're doing great things and all this. And I, I didn't know where it came from. He was just being super positive about where I was going in my career.
Saw something.
He did. Yeah. And before I saw it in myself, John saw it. And man, that was so valuable to me to give me the confidence to do the things I did. And I don't even know if he ever knew how much that meant to me. Yep. But you're right, man. Like being able to support a young entrepreneur and get their legs running and off to the races, man. I love seeing guys kick butt. Yeah. And when they're starting their businesses and they start taking off, man, I'm so proud of them.
Me too.
So.
And I was lucky. I was a adjunct professor at FSU for 10 years. So I worked with young people all the time, and they found out that I had an entrepreneurial background. And I was very fortunate because then I got to see the power of my words and encouragement on them. I mean, it was life-changing. It's a big responsibility, actually, because they would take what I said so to heart that I wanted to be very careful to compliment them. But yeah, the entrepreneurial people are super generous and encouraging because we know we're a little bit different than the average type of person. And so we kind of bond over that stuff and want to encourage the young ones because we just remember what it was like to be super scared and don't know. My parents probably think I'm crazy and nobody knows. We get it. Like, we get it. Go find an entrepreneur and we will sit with you and make sure you feel okay.
It's almost weird to me being on the other side of that, where people come to me for advice on stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm
like, I don't know anything.
It's still in my brain. It's like, okay, am I really
I don't know anything.
that old, or
Right.
like that people come to me and ask me to do that, but I'm always honored to do it. But it's just funny being on that side of things.
You're the senior dignitary now, right? Yeah. Just like, wait a minute, I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid out here scrapping. What am I talking about?
Yeah, that's how I feel inside. I still feel about 12 inside. So.
It's exciting. It's an exciting way to live. If it's for you. And if it's not for you, by the way, that's totally fine. Yeah. Because it definitely has downsides to it. It's trade-offs.
You get all of it, man. I mean,
get all of it.
That's the thing about running a business and being an entrepreneur. All of the good and all of the bad, then that is all right there on your plate. Yeah. And you got to be able to handle it.
But that's everything too, right? If you have a corporate job, if you have a whatever, you have good and bad. It's just a matter of picking So like Alex Hormozy, you follow Alex, Alex Hormozy online? So great business guy I follow online, fantastic business communicator. He says, a failing business is stressful. A stagnant business is stressful. A growing business is stressful. He's like, just pick what part
one.
of stress you're going to, but that's true of all of life, right? All of life has stresses. So it's just a matter of, if you are entrepreneurial, you're going to be stressed out about something in your life. Go ahead and do the thing you also love
that
and
never
deal
goes
with that,
away.
because that's, if you think like there's no such thing as a lifestyle with no stress or uncertainty in it, that doesn't exist.
Nope.
So just do the thing. If you can make things that you love and do it with people you love, I tell you what, man, the more I do this, the more I want to do it with others. Like in groups. I was super solitary when I had my first businesses.
Really?
Matter of fact, for 10 years, my business, I literally was alone. It was just me and my dog and my truck.
No kidding.
Yeah, I kept it because I was just me. And
I can't even imagine that nowadays, man. Because you're so out there in the community doing things.
That's why.
Engaging with people. Yeah.
That's why, is because I literally was in a truck before anybody knew me. Anybody that knows me about anything is only from the last 5 to 7 years. Like before that, I had a whole business life nobody knew about because it was just me. And I kept it because I could keep it under control and I could do all that stuff. So I literally spent all my days alone. But once I started a business with others, and then the film fest with all these others, you're like, this is great, man. It's like you're building your own club. Of just people you like and love.
It's fun as hell, man.
It is,
You know, we talk about feeling like a family, but you know, the reality of it is, man, when you're working 8 to 10 hours a day or more, those people that you work with, you're spending time with them like you would, sometimes more than your
I'll tell you
family,
what,
right?
in some way, that's a very common thing, right? We're like a family here, and I always have a little bit different version of that. It's because your family is singular, right? Your siblings, your parents, and all that stuff. But there's something about building curating a business that is also like a friend group and a support group, because then you can't choose your siblings or your parents or where you grew up and all that stuff, but you can choose
who you work with.
Like you can curate that list of people and only be around awesome people. It's pretty great. And so you can build this tribe for yourself.
If you hire them,
if you're careful.
Hire awesome people.
Yeah.
Man, when I first started hiring people, I feel like I screwed it up bad, right? Like I really was hiring on 80% technical ability and maybe 20% on personality and soft factors, right? Yeah. Man, I bet you it's the other way now. Yeah. I bet you it's 80-20 personality versus
what
tech.
kind of human being are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't teach that. I can teach tech skill, but I can't teach someone to be great with customers, to be a good, person to be around each day, to be kind, to be gentle, to be patient. That stuff I can't teach.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip. So if you're looking, because I've experienced exactly the same thing, is I recommend to people when you're thinking of either business partners or you're thinking of just people you're going to staff or whatever, is look for good. Lex, my business partner in Redfish, she calls it Good People Club. And so when we bump up against a filmmaker or a producer or somebody that wants to be involved, that's our little shorthand for each other. We'll talk to them and she'll be like, Good People Club? Or like not good people. We're like Good People Club. And if you surround yourself with good people, they need to have skills, of course, but you, like you said, especially with YouTube and everything, like for goodness sake, people can learn stuff. You can't learn to be the right kind of human. Yeah. So find the kind of human you like to be around and attract them, and then just teach them everything else. And and I have found that. So Brittany and I talk a lot about this, is that there is a kind of person that is attracted to Redfish. When you sit with us, all of us, like it's a different vibe than the Wewa Films people. Yep. So like my Wewa Films people are very like professional and chill. I mean, you've worked with them. Yep. They're super, but they almost say nothing. Like they're very chill and calm. Yeah. The Redfish people are like a party all the time. Like there's ideas flying around everywhere. Everybody's super, like it is a big fun thing. Yeah. And so I think the nature of the business attracts the nature of the people that want to be a part of it.
But you're identifying that and selecting people accordingly, which is great from a leadership standpoint, that you can see that vision and put the right people with the right vision.
And I tell you what, it's not even selecting so much. What I think is probably good advice to people is make the vision for your business as clear as you can. Like, I mean, down to the vibe you want. Alan does a good job with this too. When he's the kind of person we're looking for.
Yep.
So the vibe you have and the whole feel of your business, if you're very clear about that, then then they will come to you. So you don't select so much as you just vet and put them in the right place, because they'll come to you.
They gravitate towards you.
They'll come to you like, you guys look like something I want to be a part of.
Yeah.
And then it makes hiring easier because they're already self-selecting.
Yeah, I think a lot of that company culture type stuff, with social media the way it is today, I think you can really get the insight into what a company's like too.
Yep.
And we talk to clients about that all the time with our marketing services that we do, is reflecting who you are and what the company culture is like within those social platforms. Because a lot of time, like the website doesn't say, it says what you do, but not who you are.
Right.
And especially where we live here in Bay County, man, who you are matters so much.
Yep.
And the more that you're putting that out there and letting people know what kind of people in business you are, I think you're totally right. That gravitates people towards you, right?
Yeah, I had this conversation with a young woman like 2 days ago. A young woman here in town who works for an HVAC company, and she's kind of in their business. She's a marketer and she's growing into a business development role, stuff like that. And she was, she's learning, and she's also scared and stressed out. Can I meet these goals that they want from me and all that stuff? And we were talking about it's really hard to differentiate an HVAC company because they all do HVAC stuff, right? Or a plumbing, electrical services company. I said, look, though, people want to do business with people they like. So if you can focus on the personality of your business, they assume you have the licenses you need and you can fix
skills,
the thing and the tools and the whatever. But if you can project a personality, it will attract a certain kind of customer who wants to be part of that. Beachy Beach Real Estate. You and I have this mutual friend at Beachy Beach.
She's one of the best.
Great example, right? Karen's Beachy Beach Real Estate is Karen Smith.
Absolutely.
And so if you want to do business in real estate with that vibe, it's like a giant neon sign. And if you don't, you don't, but you know exactly what you're getting.
That's a business that completely reflects the values of the owner through every single thing that they do.
It's remarkable.
And it's awesome, man.
It's remarkable.
Like you totally get Karen's personality through everything that you see that's Beachy Beach.
Think about their realtors. Think about their other brokers. They're all like Beachy Beach people. There is a Beachy Beach kind of person. And Karen did such a good job of projecting that clear vision for what she wanted to build. And you can tell a Beachy Beach realtor next to another realtor on site. They just have a different vibe. They're Beachy Beach people, right? That's a great example of the kind of clarity you need. And she's always like in the leaderboard of sales and stuff because she attracted these people who, when they come to work for her, they are on fire because they want to be a Beachy Beach person. It's a culture thing.
She's created a great
vibe
and
you gotta have
identity with that business, man. It's awesome.
So anyway, but if you're as you're building whatever you're building in your heart, and you want to build this thing. So like Aaron Rich Marketing has a personality, right? Has a lot like your personality. It's fun and it has like Star Wars stuff and it's
geeky
just,
and
it's
irreverent.
That certainly does attract a certain kind of person, customer that wants to do that. So the mistake is people are like, we need to do everything. We need to be the everything company. Like, no, you don't. You need to be as clear about who you are as possible. And so like with Redfish, we started a foundation after the film fest, and we thought a lot about what are our core values, not what is our standard operating procedures, like what are our values. And so we nailed down a few real core values. And like one of them is we nurture creatives and then we trust them. So we are the place where creatives should come because we know what to do with you. We understand your brain. We understand how you are. We understand your heart. And we've put that out there and they show up. So that's what you want to do. Clarity, clarity, clarity. And then you'll get all the right people. You'll get the right staff. You'll get the right customers. Everything gets easier after that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You have been doing, are you still doing your business podcast?
I'm a little behind on that because I started a film festival.
Yeah, you got a lot
but I
going
love
on.
my
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
I love my podcast. And so, yes, I actually have a whole list of topics I want to get
That's
back
awesome.
to. I'll probably start after the film fest this year. Yeah.
Yeah, and if y'all haven't seen any of Kevin's stuff online, you should definitely follow him online, and we'll try to tag all that stuff on the video when we
Yeah.
when we
It's
put
called
it
The
out.
Business of Creative.
The Business of Creative, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Redfish Film Festival, I did want to talk to you about that because it's coming up soon. So
is.
can you talk a little bit about like some of the things that are going on and when it is, and just give a little detail on that?
Yeah, so it is coming up in 6 weeks. Almost, I think 6 weeks from like yesterday. It is April 24 through 27. It's the last weekend in April, Thursday through Sunday. And it's a documentary-only film festival. So you talk about clarity is when we started this, I looked around the market, and there are thousands of film festivals in the country. But then I love documentaries, and so I was like, what if we just did documentaries? And I looked around to see how many documentary-only fests there are, and there were like 6 in the whole country.
Really?
And I went, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's some
niche.
clarity,
Yeah.
right? There's a
Yep.
niche, right?
Yep.
There's only one other in the whole Southeast.
Yeah.
So now there's 2.
Cool.
So there's that. And we do it in historic downtown Panama City. If you don't know historic downtown, like it's the cutest little great thing. We're just a few blocks we're on the outskirts of that here in the studio. And we wanted to do that because we love downtown, but also I'm a Disney World guy, like a hardcore Disney World guy. And I love the feeling of Magic Kingdom because it's like a walkable little neighborhood or has a series of neighborhoods, and downtown has that feel to me. So I wanted the fest to feel like you're walking through the Magic Kingdom, like this magical little neighborhood. So we do it there, but then we also, because we knew not everybody's into documentary films, and we had never had a film fest, so we know all the creative people, so we threw like big parties and events all around the fest. Every night of the fest, we do these big, crazy, immersive, like fun, artistic events in downtown, and people enjoyed those as much as they did the film. So we have a bunch planned this year too.
You guys really have created a really cool way of having the event, and you have different items going on with the bourbon tasting and little pop-up bars and stuff like that are there. The event is a heck of a lot of fun, man. And if it's not something that you've ever been to, I would certainly encourage our audience to go and check it out. There's something for everybody. Yeah. There really is. So
we built it for the town. We built it because we it's all built by locals, and we all want to build the town that we want to live in. So we built this. We have this conversation all the time. We're like, would 13-year-old Kevin want to go do this? Would 19-year-old Brittany want to go do this? Would 30-year-old Lex want to go do that? Like we think about we're building this for us. Yeah. And so we, and because we know the people of the town, but we built this thing for them. And I think it was Brittany actually. She said last year it was more than a film fest. It was like a community art installation.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
That's what it felt like, yeah.
And again, that wasn't my vision. That wasn't but that's just what grew up because the people jumped in and helped, and it was really special. So we got some cool ideas planned for this year too. We're going to start dropping them very, very, very soon.
Man, I can't wait. That's going to be a great time, and definitely look forward to seeing you down there.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that about wraps up our time for today, man. So I greatly appreciate you coming on.
I'm honored.
Talking
Number one,
with me.
dude.
I'm so glad that you've been unafraid to do the things that you've done, man. The impact that.
Well, I've been afraid. Well, I've been afraid, but we do them anyway.
But you push past it.
You do them anyway.
And those things have led to a lot of very successful stuff for our community. So I appreciate that about you greatly, man.
Likewise,
so,
dude.
thanks.
Likewise.
Yep.
Yeah.
So y'all, please make sure you follow Redfish Film Festival. Check out the events they have coming up. It's going to be a fantastic event. Please get some tickets. They'll go quick, so make sure you jump on that. And then make sure you follow him at Wewa Films, man. They do some incredible things. I can't tell you how beautiful the work that they do is. So definitely check that out, and appreciate all your time today. Thank you, Turn Up Studios, for hosting our podcast today. And please tune in with us next time.